Got questions here that I'm going to answer. As of today, like I've been a real estate agent now for over 10 years. So in 2022, I decided to hire a director of operations. So I was at Keller Williams and they just talked so much about starting a team, which there's nothing wrong with that. But I just felt like in my business, like, okay, this is the next step for me, is starting this team. I love this shirt because it's got like little bows on it. Okay. I would say like a year and a half prior to 2020, I did have showing assistants, and that was honestly wonderful. There was like no team pressure to like give leads. I was just paying per door, so it wasn't expensive. I really love that model. And if you're like in this phase right now of thinking about starting a team, honestly, please start with this and just see how it goes, because I mean, you don't know what you don't know, but looking back, I just do wish I would have just stayed doing that. But everything happens for a reason, and I'm going to share with you how we got here. So 2022, decided to hire a director of operations. This girl, she worked in my Keller Williams office. She worked for another team. And so I thought it'd be great to hire her. So at the beginning of 2022, in January, like January 1st, she started with me. And I was like, you know, I'm going to give this like a year shot and see how it goes, like if it makes sense, if I'm able to like do more business, because now I have this person essentially working remote. Like we did get together in person, but essentially working in remote and doing all of the admin tasks for me so that I can focus on the listings and the showings and the negotiations and stuff like that. So anyways, hired her, and then she ended up bringing to my attention that, hey, has experience bringing on agents for the previous team that she worked with. So I was like, okay, let's do that. Ended up bringing on 5 to 6 brand new real estate agents. And I know that the team structure and what Keller Williams preaches, it works for some agents. And there's some huge teams at Keller Williams and it's amazing for them. But for me, I was like, it was so time consuming helping these brand new agents with my friends and family and like making sure it went well. And it was time consuming. It was expensive. I did not feel like this was in alignment with the lifestyle that I wanted. I ended up working so much more, and it was just really, really challenging. I know I have a video on my YouTube that's like what happened to the team, and so I dive in deeper on that video, but this is how it ended up starting with my business partner Keri, who I now work with, and we have worked with together for almost 3 years now. Like the beginning of the 2026 will be 3 years. Okay, so moving on. So after the year of doing this in 2022 with the team, I was like, okay, this is not aligned with how I want to run my business. I was so drained. I was so burnt out. I was like, I am done with real estate. I don't know what I'm going to do, but this is not it. So kind of what ended up happening was I was like, okay, I'm still getting these leads in, right? And I don't have these agents to pass them off to now. And I had known Keri Carpenter, who is my partner. I did know of her like prior to her getting her real estate license, and she did reach out to me wanting to be a part of the team or like wanting to talk more about it. And I just was like, at that time, I remember thinking like, okay, I'm helping these brand new agents. And although she was a newer agent, I just felt like she was this caliber above, and she was doing so amazing already as like a brand new agent. And I just felt like there would be like this off balance, like it just didn't feel right. I remember telling my director of operations, like, I would love to work with Keri. She is wonderful. It just didn't feel right. So when the team dissolved, I started thinking about Keri again, and I was like, I'm just going to meet up with her. So I had no thought of it turning into anything like what it has turned into today. I just was like, I need some help with these leads. I still thought, okay, I'm going to take a couple clients and I'm just going to get some help. And I ended up giving her a couple leads, and she ended up working with my clients, and it went so beautiful. Everyone loved her. Everyone absolutely loves her. If you meet her, you will know why. She's extremely enthusiastic, like problem solver, very resourceful, communicative, professional, like all the makings of a wonderful realtor. Like she is that. So after working with her on these first couple transactions, I was like, oh my gosh, this is going amazing. And we ended up meeting up again, and I was like, do you want to work with all my clients? And I shared with her like where I was at, like not really wanting to do real estate anymore, but would love to still make some money here. And that's ultimately how it started. So for one, she works with all of my past clients, she works with my friends, she works with my family, and she still has her own business, right? So I refer her. We have referral agreements for every single client that reaches out to me, is interested in buying and selling, and we have a referral agreement. So essentially, I am introducing her to my friend or past client, whatever, and she takes complete ownership after that. I introduce them and Keri takes them, does the buyer consult, the showings, writes the offer, does the negotiation, goes to the inspection, goes to the appraisal, goes to closing, like all those things, like walking them through closing from start to finish. And she's handling all of it and then pays me a referral fee at closing for that lead, essentially. So that's like the main structure. If I don't answer your question, let me know below in the comments and I'll do a follow-up video. I'll answer your guys' questions. So here's what that looks like. So it's gotten easier over the years because with time, it's just built this credibility, right, with Keri and I with social media. So like now I've been posting Keri on social media for almost 3 years. So I'm friends with all my past clients on social media, so they are getting to see this content and see me partner up with Keri, and it's built that credibility so that when people reach out to me, they're like, can you or Keri help me with selling my house? Whatever, some type of verbiage like that is typically how it goes. Because not only am I showing Keri on social media, but I am also showing Keri on all of my mailers when I'm sending to my past clients and to my friends. I have everyone's mailing address. I'm constantly trying to collect mailing addresses, and they're getting content from me in the mail with Keri and I's face on it, name and face. And so they're getting familiar with Keri that way as well. And again, like with time, it builds that credibility. Really, if you're wanting to structure this model, you're wanting to think of things to mail, you should really grab my 2026 client connection kit because everything I'm sending is all in there. Okay, but moving on, let me go over these questions that I have that I want to make sure I answer. Like, what does a typical week look like in my business? So I work pretty part-time. I have limited childcare for my daughter, who's now 22 months. And my weeks are honestly really simple, and that is intentional. That is on purpose. I work during, the Tuesdays and Thursdays that I have help with Summer. I'm working during that time. And honestly, sometimes I am working during nap times and on the weekends when my husband is able to help me with Summer. I work on the weekends too sometimes. But I typically handle the marketing. I'm typically still doing lead generation, social media content, but I'm not running around anymore. I'm not doing the showings. I'm not doing listing appointments. Like, that is where Keri comes in. And I love it because my calendar has boundaries now, and I can protect that flexibility so that I can actually be present with Summer, and really real estate gets to fit into my life and not the other way around. But I do want to emphasize, I still want to work. I really enjoy what I get to do now, with the real estate side of things, but also with being at Real Broker and having this national network of real estate agents where I get to pour into agents now. I love that so much. It is wonderful, and I'm so happy, so fulfilled. So I'm just so grateful for the structure that I have. So that's typically what my week looks like. Okay, so where do my leads come from as a referral agent? So my past clients, mostly my friends, and I really leverage my online presence. So Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, just really consistently showing up, with the mailers, showing up online. I have sold hundreds of homes, so that is really helpful. I do think this would be much harder for an agent, if they're brand new and get into the business and they want to be a referral partner and they didn't have like all these years of credibility or past clients, like I do think it would be harder. I don't know. I'm curious to know your thoughts on this. Let me know below in the comments. Staying top of mind is everything. I think I've really emphasized that. I nurture my relationships. I check in, I send value. And then when someone raises their hand, I connect them to Keri. All right, next question. How did you make the transition from production to referral base? Okay, I feel like I already explained that transition, and I want to emphasize that it didn't happen overnight. It started when the team dissolved, and I just really was like, I don't even know if I want to do this anymore. And then I ended up getting pregnant that next year and really was feeling so sick and felt like I couldn't even answer my phone at that time. Like I was just so dizzy, nauseous, all the things. And so I really leaned on Keri during that time. I knew like as I'm pregnant, I'm like, what does my life look like after summer gets here? And instead of walking from my business, I decided to restructure it. I'm still serving my clients, but it's just different. Okay, so moving on, what does your ongoing lead gen marketing look like? Okay, I think I've answered that with really implementing the things in the 2026 Client Connection Kit, the social media stuff, and just nurturing my like genuine friendships. Do you both do together to keep business coming in? So we do film content. We host client events together. Like I said, I'm mailing my clients. I have Keri's face on it as well. We invest in our relationships and we lean into our community. And it's honestly so fun. We get to play at our strengths. And I feel like we both like stay in our lane, and that's why it works. Okay, next question. This is a good question. Why does Real make it easy for you to be a referral agent? So the thing about Real is that it's built for modern agents. Like there's a lot of tech, there's a lot of AI, automation, so it does make things like really simple. So when Keri adds a transaction to our dashboard, if it's a buyer or a seller, it will curate this list of like all the items that need to be turned in for that transaction, whether or not it's a buyer or seller. And she's uploading all of the documents, she's communicating with we have like someone assigned to each folder on Real's side, like the transaction side, like someone overseeing the transaction and the documents, making sure everything's turned in correctly. Like we've crossed our T's, dotted our I's, everything's signed, good. And then she basically like in that folder adds me, plugs in how much is my referral fee, and then everything is like, they create the CDA, the commission disbursement authorization on their end, and then they're sending that to Keri, which will include like how much to be paid. And then I'm able to see this on my end in my dashboard. So when she adds me to a folder like 123 Main Street, well, now I get to see 123 Main Street's folder. I get to see what I'm getting paid. I get to see like what's going on in the transaction. So I feel like I'm able to stay plugged in and see what's going on, and that's really nice. And I get paid like super easy, really fast once closing is done. What mindset shifts did you have to make to step out of traditional production? This was honestly the hardest part for me because I was that real estate agent that loved the numbers. I loved being successful, having a lot of clients, having a lot of sales. I loved seeing like what my numbers were every month, every quarter, every year. And I would boast that. I would talk about that. I, am not really able to do that now because that's not my transaction. So every month I can't say like, oh, I did X amount in sales. So like now looking back like 3 years later, I'm like, who cares? No one cares. Why was I so hung up? It's like an ego thing. And I think I had to let that go. And looking back, like that was really challenging to do, and to let go of control, to like in the transaction as a whole, like this person, Keri, taking care of my friends and past clients and family, like that's the control is so hard to do. And then not being able to like have those numbers anymore, I feel like was really, I look back and I'm like, who cares? Like, that's so silly. But I know some people can relate to that. What fears did you have before making this switch, and how did you work through them? So I definitely was super fearful about handing the client over to Keri and them being like, oh, I want to work with you, versus working with Keri, and I didn't want people to feel like they are being passed off. And I think a lot of people, that's what probably most people's fears are with that switch, with that transition. But instead, they honestly loved having the opportunity to work with both of us. And I mean, for obviously no extra cost to them. And also, I feel like Keri has helped make that process really easy for me, because she's so on top of it, so resourceful, and clients absolutely love working with her. Honestly, I feel like they might love working with Keri more than working with me. Like, I do think she is a better real estate agent than I am. I really think so. So I think that has been helpful with the transition. What advice would you give an agent who wants more balance but doesn't want to lose momentum? So I don't feel like you lose momentum when you delegate. You actually gain it, because you're operating like in your lane and you're able to solely focus on momentum and lead generating and bringing in more business. So I'm not having to, like, it's just so time consuming. Jacksonville is, I think actually I know this. Jacksonville is the largest land-wise in the United States. Size. So when someone reaches out to me and they're like, I'm interested in Jacksonville, I'm like, okay, where in Jacksonville? Because for one, I don't even live in Jacksonville. I'm on the outskirts in Ponte Vedra Beach. So when someone reaches out to me, they could be like an hour plus away. So just imagine, like, showings. 4 showings is like an all-day affair, I feel like. I mean, obviously depending exactly on where the showings are, but it is really, really time consuming is what I'm getting at. And listing appointments are so time consuming. And just, walking clients through every little thing of the transaction and holding their hand and negotiating and calling people and handling things, like, is so time consuming. And all of that now is taken off my plate. And all I focus on is lead generating, strategy, and marketing. So I'm able to stay in my lane and focus on those things. Like, just imagine if you had all the time, like, your time was solely focused on lead generation. So I will say, like, I'm not making as much, right, per transaction, but I'm still making a pretty, $100,000 plus a year. And it supports our lifestyle. It allows me to be present. I'm working minimal hours. And when I am working, like, it's just, I love what I get to do so much. I am more focused on agent attraction and helping those agents in their business. And that fills up my cup so much. And I know that side of that stream of income is just growing every single month. And I know, like, a year from now, like, financially, I'm just going to be making so much more. So it does take time and nurturing and helping agents and all of that, but I really, really love this. So I hope this video is helpful and answered some questions. And I think too, like, if you're a mom or just an agent who's craving more freedom and more joy in your business, I hope this video showed you that it is possible. If you want more behind the scenes on building a business like this, let me know below in the comments. Let me know what I can answer for you. Like, I show up on here on YouTube to help other female real estate agents with their business. So please let me know. I would love to connect with you on Instagram, and I'm always sharing so much more on there. So I hope we connect, and I can't wait to hear from you soon. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope this wasn't like too fast or rushed, but I wanted to make sure I got you this content before I head to lunch, and thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.